Welcome, welcome, welcome back. And thank you so much for tuning into the Humbitious Woman podcast. Just in case you didn't know, the Humbitious podcast is a career and business podcast for brilliant women who haven't yet fulfilled their potential. We feature disruptive strategies and tips to create real opportunities and get you to the next level. This podcast is brought to you by Wise Hat Consulting and the Wow Experience Leadership Brunch, which is happening in January at the Crow Canyon Country Club in Danville, California. Be sure to check out the links to this episode or go to wisehatconsulting.com for more information. And I am so excited today to welcome my special guest, Mia Brinson. And Mia, I hope I said your last name right.
Yes, you did.
All right. So Mia is a performance coach, everyone. Right up my alley, right? She speaks my love language. She has helped high achievers maximize their potential and navigate complex situations by providing tools and strategies that empower them to own their future.
Yes.
She's helped businesses and individuals from different industries like healthcare, sports and entertainment, government, diversity and inclusion consulting, and more. Her mission is to be the solution that she needed. This is lovely. I love this. That she needed along the way by creating personal, customized roadmaps that leads others to great success.
Yeah.
So, Mia, I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome to the Humbitious Woman podcast. So, tell us more about yourself.
Yes. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me on your podcast today. I am so excited to have this discussion today because I'm very, very passionate about that mission of being the solution that I needed along the way. I am a first time graduate, first generation graduate of my family. And so, as you know, with that, there's a lot of bumps, there's a lot of things you just don't know, especially getting into corporate world. So when I got my degree, it was like, you've made it, right? And then I got a job with that degree, you've arrived. So it was like, that's all I needed, right? And so I
Right.
started, working and working really hard, and things were not coming as I thought the progression should have gone. I thought climbing the corporate ladder was a linear thing. I thought
Mhm.
that, I work hard, I would get noticed, I would get promoted. I thought that, if I made the right connections, if I was nice, if I prayed, if I was a good person, then that will automatically, put me in a position of leadership. And it just didn't happen for me that way.
Mhm.
It doesn't happen that way. So what I had to learn was like how to navigate this corporate culture, when my family doesn't have language. My friends obviously at the time didn't have the language, and so I felt alone. I felt like, how do I do this? How do I navigate this? And now, if you fast forward 20 something years, I've been able to have some success. And I realized when I was reflecting back at some of the hardships of, not getting the promotion, being overlooked, people stealing your ideas, the cattiness that can come with peers, sometimes, and keeping your reputation intact, all of those things, like overcoming those things. And I was just reflecting on it and thought about like, what was the key thing that helped me through that? And it was relationships and mentorship. And so what I started to do, because my circle didn't have the answer, is I started connecting with people within the company or within networking within corporate spaces, um, to others who have been down the road, and they didn't have to have my same experience, or my upbringing, but they have been able to be successful navigating the corporate culture. And I just needed the nuggets and the tools, and I can apply them myself and, make it unique, to me, to navigate those. And so, I was able to build those mentorships, those relationships, and help me through, some of those hard situations and help me navigate and be successful.
That is amazing. So, tell me this. Somebody pulled you to the side, right?
Oh yeah.
And was yeah, right? And so our stories, it's so funny. Our stories are so similar. if not for just a couple of in my mind, it's like 3 people
Mm-hmm.
that pulled me to the side in various stages of my career, said, here, let me help you.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different upbringing to your point, right? But
Yeah.
they had been there. And so we were, you and I, I'm putting us together now, missing the mark, thinking that, okay, if I work hard, this is it. Okay, I'm going to work hard. And then next thing you know, this other person gets promoted. And you're like, wait a minute, I
Right.
worked twice. What's going on? Right.
Yeah.
So all of those things, I love it because a lot of the times, and not even a lot of the times, even now, that's still the mentality of a lot of women in the workplace, thinking that all I need to do is put my head down and
Yeah.
work hard, and they'll notice me, and I have to work twice as hard. I have to be here when the lights are off, before they even get turned on,
Mhm.
and I gotta be the last one out the door, and
Mhm.
that's just not the case. So kinda talk to us about, what happened once you got connected with those mentors from a mentality perspective. What shifted for you to get you, like, in alignment really with what you needed for your career?
Yeah, so many things. So I had one person reach out. I had to be much more intentional about, navigating and identifying someone who I actually connected with, because it has to be genuine, right? You can't
Mhm.
just do this just to get to the next level. So I have two kind of key experiences. One was another black woman who pulled me aside and was like, hey, you know, let's have a chat.
Right.
Let's talk about this. And it was simple things like the way I show up in meetings, right? And so you're
Mhm.
upset that someone may have stole your idea, but you go into the meeting and you're quiet, or you go into the meeting and you sit in the back and you don't invite yourself to the table.
Mm.
You go into the meeting and you're not expressing your ideas and your feelings. So it's very easy for someone else to say, "Oh, this is my idea," or "This is the idea that you discuss." I like the one-on-one discussions. And so it's like
Mhm.
I'll take you to the side and say, "This is what I think." And then they take it in and they're like, "This is what I think." And I'm like, "Is that's not okay?"
Right.
But, so she was helping me navigate like meeting, facilitation, how you show up in the room, things like that. And then I had this one lady, and it's a small example, but it stuck with me to this day. So she was like the vice president, and we went to have lunch or a coffee, whatever.
Mhm.
We were in the cafeteria, and we were looking at the seats, and she said, "Oh my gosh, this seat, I'm gonna need to make a call because of the wrinkle or the cracks in the seat." And where I would just complain, this lady already had a mindset. Now, obviously, she has authority, right? But it was her mindset that I'm not going to complain about something. I'm going to
Mhm.
make a change and make sure that the next person that sits here is not going to have the same experience. That shifted my mind from a leadership perspective and how I thought about things, and not wanting to just approach things and complain or feel bad or be the victim, because that's what we
Mhm.
are a lot of times, is a victim in our own story because we don't know. But we have to like just really take charge of our lives and say, how do I want to show up? And so
Right.
she helped me see that from a leadership perspective, you have to be the one to actually identify the solutions and make and do the steps that it takes to get to that solution.
Yeah, that's great. And you know what's interesting? So I talk about this a lot too with just people I'm mentoring with clients, right? And that is, and people, I don't know, it's like we say it and then people just don't understand it. So we are a business. You are a service. So you
Yeah,
know that whole software as a service. You are Mia as a service. I am
yeah,
Jay as a service. And so I have to treat my career as if it's a business.
yeah.
And every interaction that someone has with me, yes, I'm working for this company. Yes, I have whatever title I have, but every interaction they have with me is them interacting with me as a business. So what experience
Mhm.
am I leaving them with, right? And so that kind of aligns with what you're saying is she took it as, okay, I need to go do something about this because I'm a leader in this business. versus I'm just going to complain. And boy, this company needs to get it together. Look at these
Yes,
horrible chairs. This is a
yes,
shame, right?
yes,
We go
yes,
down that road and it's like, well, wait a minute. Okay, what are you doing? Are you it's just a mindset change. Just like
it
you said,
is.
you have to think of yourself having that authority, being a leader. And a leader isn't just a person who has people who report to them,
That's right. I
right?
always make that clear. Yes.
You
Yes.
don't have to have people quote unquote under you to be the leader,
Right.
right? And so when you see things like a cracked chair, you won't go down the road of, okay, it's them. You take some type of ownership.
Right.
And in the same way, you have to do that for your career too, because it's your career. You got
Yeah.
to own that. And it's not subject to some other person who has authority and whether or not they want to do whatever, right?
Exactly. And you're not a leader because you have a title either,
Oh,
right?
yes.
So,
Let's talk about that.
yeah, title does not declare you as a leader. And I always like to say you are the CEO of your life,
That's
right?
right.
So, yes, you are a business, but also you are a brand. And
Hmm.
so that's what I've learned as well is like, what does your brand say about you?
That's
So,
right.
what I had learned, and now I'm in more of a matrix type organization, your brand is all you have. And it's in
Hmm.
the matrix organization, it's all about, do I want to work with her again on the next project? You
That's
know,
good.
does she show up? Does she excel? Does she get the job done? Like, are you executing, or are you known for complaining, excuses,
Mm.
or the reasons why you can't get something done, or the way you show up in person with the client, things like that. So it's like your reputation will precede you. And one person said this to me, they're like, the most important conversations about your career happens outside of your presence.
Yep.
It happens in rooms that you're not in.
Yep.
Oh, if your reputation and your brand and your business, the business of Mia,
Hmm.
is not intact, then that will say, just like your level of achievement, it will dictate a lot of things and kind of put a cap on you if you're not careful.
Oh, it will. It will. And I remember clearly having a conversation with someone, and I told her, your reputation and your character are out of alignment. And no one had ever told her that. And she thought, first of all,
Yeah,
she thought they were one and the same. And I said, no, they're not.
they're not.
And so let me explain that to you. Your reputation is who people say you are when you leave the room.
Hmm.
Right? You
Right,
is you may think so your character, you may think you're this way,
right,
right? You may have
right,
these morals about yourself and you think you're operating a certain way, but then your reputation is when you leave and people are like, "Oh my God." Right?
right, right.
And they have to be in alignment. And this is one thing that I hear a lot and I don't particularly like it. It's half true when they say, "Oh, it's not personal, it's just business."
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
business is very personal.
Very.
Business is relationship driven, period. And it's
Yes.
not about who you know. I mean, that helps. So when we talk about relationship driven, it's not, oh, I got a friend. That helps. But it's again, just what you just said, how you make people feel. What is their
Right.
experience with you? Are you easy to do business with?
Right.
That's the thing. If you are the most difficult, you could be the most gifted, talented, whatever
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
And if you are not easy to do business with, people will find a way to go around you
They will.
because they don't want to leave feeling, oh God, I mean, I got what I needed, but I feel so beat up, or my energy is, sapped
Yeah.
completely because this person, right? So that's good.
And that's what I think a lot of times, because that whole my character is this, but my reputation is this, is
Mhm,
I think sometimes the misalignment comes in is you're getting feedback. People are telling you what they think about you. But
mhm,
because you don't see it that way, you don't receive it. But
right.
if there's more than one person saying that you are difficult, you need to take a moment to step back and reflect and internalize and see what adjustments can I make, and also check back in. So a lot of
Mhm,
times we make adjustments and we're having communication, but you're not making the right adjustments. Like, you
mhm,
changed this, but that wasn't the problem. It's actually this. And so what I've always done is if I am getting feedback like that, or for anything, right? I am then going to check back in like, hey, I've made these adjustments. Now what does it look like? Like, have we satisfied that? And so I
Right.
think a lot of times we don't, kind of a receive feedback. We just discount it, minimize it because all my friends say I'm great. And or B, we don't check back in with those
Mhm.
individuals giving us that.
And, for whatever reason, people are afraid of the truth.
Yeah,
You gotta be willing to, as my husband say, take one on the chin,
yes,
right?
we do.
The truth is the truth, right? And people's perception is their reality
Yeah,
until it isn't, right? And it could be wrong, but it is their reality. So when you sit down with somebody and they say things to you, you ask for feedback. First of all, you have to be brave enough to ask for the feedback. Ask for it. And
absolutely
then be
better.
brave enough to take it. Write it down
Mhm,
and go, okay, wow, is it some truth to what they're saying? Am I really like that? And to your point, if you got more than one person telling you the same thing, now these are the people who are willing to tell you the truth, by the way, not your
mhm.
yes people,
That's right.
not your you're the best thing since sliced bread people. Because a lot of time, I can't tell you how many teams, Mia, I've taken over where everybody thought they walked on water. And
Mm,
I got in there and I don't make, I'm not the kind of leader that would come in and go, okay, we're just turning everything over. Nope. I take my time. I give
right.
it like a good 90 days. Let's
Yeah.
see what's going on, who's who, right? And when I sit down and have those conversations and I bring, I'm not just the person who's just, okay, I'm just going to arbitrarily, nope, I'm going to bring the facts in. Here are the facts.
Mhm.
I can't tell you how many people have been shocked to say, well, what are you talking about? My previous person told
Yeah.
me, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you were given that feedback. This is what I'm seeing from you.
Mhm.
Right. And then to go and have the conversations with the previous managers, and they would say, no, you're absolutely right. I just didn't have the heart to tell them.
Oh, God.
That
Oh,
that burns me. So that's what I'm saying. You got to get with the people who are willing to tell you the truth because it is going to serve you better when you make these
absolutely.
tweaks and adjustments. You can't walk around with your character and your reputation out of alignment and then be frustrated because you don't get promoted and you see everybody else doing it who in your mind isn't working as hard. They're probably working smarter, by the way, but
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
their reputation that's getting them further because you're probably more difficult or there's something about you that no one's willing to tell you what it is. And here we are. It's a perpetual, around the bush over and over again. And we end up frustrated, burned out. How many years did you go through that cycle? I'll tell you how many I did. Took me a good 5 years before somebody was like, okay, girl, here. And I
Yeah,
received it. I received it. I had to
right.
receive it. So,
Yeah. I do want to unpack that what you said about well, I want to unpack about working smarter
yes.
because really about working smarter, I think one of the key things, one nugget that I hope somebody will walk away with is the key is relationships.
Mhm.
That key is relationships. And so, yes, I've talked about mentorship, but I also believe in sponsorship, right? So, someone in leadership, someone in influence who knows you by name, who knows
Mhm.
what great work you can do, and who has access to those tables and has access in those rooms where you're not. And so,
Mhm.
if you have someone that can speak on your behalf, and always say the raving and the great things, like that has taken me much further and faster than working hard ever did.
That's right. Yep, that's right. That's important. It's
Yeah,
so important, and you gotta be willing to ask. So, depending on your corporate environment or
right.
whatever environment you're in, it may be more structured, that kind of thing, sponsorships,
Mhm.
mentorships may be more structured, and it may not be. So you can have formal and informal. They both serve you well in your
Yes.
career. So you have to be willing to put yourself out there and ask somebody because I've had both formal and informal mentors
Right.
and I would have to say I benefited from all of the relationships. But you're
Same.
absolutely right. Someone who you can sit at their feet. They've been there.
Mhm.
They're gonna pour out everything. I still have, Mia, notebooks from God 20 plus years ago from
Mhm.
mentors who told you just, and I would just sit there and listen to them talk for an hour and write everything they said down. And I still have it, and I'll go back and reference it sometimes. You know, if I'm kind of
Mhm.
going through something, I'll go back and read it and I'll go, yep, they said to do this. I did that. I did that. You know, just to kind of refresh, because we all need it. We, you know, even if we've been around our 20 plus years, right? We all still sometimes need to kind of refer back. So I'm a big journaler, but I'm,
Same.
I
We're
won't
the same
digress to
person.
take us down that road.
We are the same person.
See
Yeah.
all these books. This is just part of the.
Oh yeah. Let me
Yep.
that's my camera. They're down there. But yeah, no,
Yep.
I definitely agree. And you have to be brave, right? To go
Mhm.
reach out for those relationships. I think I waited years, but again, working hard, thinking someone would see that and then
Mhm.
like put their hand to me to pull
Yeah.
me up. But what I realized is I needed to go and extend my hand
Mhm.
and extend myself to someone. And I was surprised with how open and willing people are to share their journey, share their experience, and share some of the nuggets and the back roads and the secret tunnels to navigate corporate America. So
Yeah.
be
Because
brave.
there definitely are back roads and secret tunnels. You and I have the decoder, right?
That's
We
right.
have the decoder code. And what's beautiful, what I love about you, and just for the record, everybody, I just met her, by the way. I just met her. I
I
just
was
thank God for
brave.
social media. Yes,
I
you were
reached
brave.
out.
You DM'd me. She slid in my DMs,
I did it. I
y'all.
did it.
But we speak each other's love language, right? We have the secret, both from a corporate background, and now we're paying it forward, right? Our passions are the same. We don't want to see other people, women, suffer the way that we did, right? And so there is a way to do this as far as navigating and getting the things that you want for your career.
Mhm.
My philosophy is that it all boils down to three things. And that's
Mhm.
why I named my business the what I named it, right? So
Mhm.
wisdom obviously is key, but the three things is your your habits, your associations, and your thoughts. Everything that's going on, it really, we could talk about life in a minute, but in your career, is sitting up under one of those three things.
Absolutely.
So it's like you got to change your hat. And Mia and I can teach you how to do that.
For sure. For
Yep.
sure.
Yep. All right. So what do you want to kind of segue into the lifestyle piece, because we talked about this offline, right? So the my experience in my own career kind of just is threefold, right? So I just talked about changing your hat, right? Your habits, your associations, and your thoughts. But I had to do that in not just my career. I also had to do that in my own personal life to be successful in my career, right? So let's talk about the fact that I want you to kind of bring to the forefront your transformation journey from a physical perspective, right? And how that's helped serve you in your career, because we could, me and I can tell you everything that you need to do for your career. We can get your resume on point. We can get your cover letter on point. We can help you navigate, pay, all that good stuff. That's great. That's easy, to be honest. That's easy. And how to show up and what to do and all those things, the promotions, all of that. That's really easy. But if your foundation, meaning how you are personally from a wellness perspective, if that isn't right, you won't be able to sustain it for long. So, Mia, talk about your journey, your transformation. I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, so I was always the healthy person in my group. So a transformation is not something I thought I needed. But in my early 20s, I ended up in the ER. I ended up in the emergency room because I was having really, really bad digestive like cramping.
Mhm.
And what they couldn't tell me what it was, so I just kind of got diagnosed with the IBS,
Hmm.
which put me down a path of health and wellness to say like what can I do? Because A, I'm not taking medication. A, I'm not taking Tums every time I eat. And I'm not doing laxatives every time I need to use the bathroom. Like, I'm not going to live my life like that.
Mhm.
So how do I naturally be able to tap into what my body needs and understand that and make better decisions? And so I
Mhm.
started down that path. But then, when COVID hit, just a lot of the behaviors that I had was still not working in my benefit. And so I took my health journey to the next level, and I just started learning more about just natural foods, organic, eating
Mhm.
real food. I went through a whole vegan phase. Like, I've
Me
done all
too.
the natural things. I'm
Me
telling you,
too.
we're the same person, Jay.
I promise you we are.
I went vegan for a little while. I've done the allergy test, like for
Mhm.
my body. So I know what works for my body and what doesn't. And the power that comes with knowing what your body needs has blown my mind. To
Mhm.
know that, like, oh my gosh, I have a headache right now. Like, and then think about how much water have I drank today? Like, am I on my water consumption? And like just having the knowledge to be able to say, this is what I'm feeling in my body and this is what I need. And then being preventative also of saying, like, I'm not going to eat fried chicken every day. I just not
Mhm.
gonna do it.
Mhm.
I know what my family got to say about it. I know what some of my friends got to say, but I'm not just gonna consume those things all the time because
Right.
it does not work in my best interest. So anyway, I was able to take my knowledge about wellness nutrition to the next level, and I actually I did go through a physical transformation where I actually lost like 30 pounds that I didn't
Mhm.
know I needed to. Right. So I've learned a lot about just BMI, the risk factors, and like just taking control of my health, and that has really just helped me show up in an even more confident way at work,
Mhm.
and even more energetically. I have so much more energy now when I show up, and I just feel good. And I think when you feel good, it just impacts every area of your life.
Right. And let's talk about, so here's what's interesting. So I went vegan
This is
2019.
crazy.
I know, right? So at the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020. So I had decided, okay, I'm going to do this 30-day challenge. I can do
Mm,
anything for 30 days, right?
mm,
So I
mhm,
did a 30-day vegan challenge. And then it was so easy. I was
mhm.
like, I could keep this up. And I
Right.
loved how I felt. So that surge of energy you talk about, oh my God, I went from being super tired all the time, having to have a cup of coffee just to wake up, to having all this energy. And I was like, okay, I love this, right? So I went into the pandemic vegan completely in 2020.
Mm.
And then I also lost 30 pounds. Like it just boom, it just fell off of me. Oh, this is me back. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. So
Okay.
I
Okay.
the size I am now was not the size I was then.
Okay.
You have to look at my page to see. Um so, that's why I want to talk about it, right? Because it's a journey, it's not a destination. So I
That's
did
right.
that from 2020, 2021, and with just it was a whole lot going on at the time. I'm also, I mean, I'm probably sharing too much, but I'm of the menopause age.
Hmm.
So all that started kicking
Yeah.
in, and I don't even want to talk about that, but that's kind of what got me off of my journey
Gotcha.
of the way I was eating, but then also the sluggishness that came in with the being tired, the insomnia, all the anyway. My
Hmm.
point is the way that we treat our bodies, right, is going to have a direct impact on how we show up in our careers. The
Right.
fact that you can experience more brain fog just based upon the fact of how much energy you have, how much water are you drinking, have you even decided to, and we're not talking about, doing some CrossFit or anything like that, but even getting up and going for a walk. Some
Yeah.
of us who are in corporate America sit in our chairs for 10, 12 hours a day and never get up to
Very
do
true.
anything. And that is not healthy. We need vitamin D, right?
Yep.
We need to move these bodies around. It is a known fact that a sedentary job adds health issues, right? You're more subjective
Mhm.
to, I believe it's heart disease, all kind
Mhm.
of joint issues, right? So if you're not giving your body what it needs, it is going to influence how much you can show up, or the effect well, how effective, excuse me, you can be in your career. It's just, I'm a living witness. I know you are, Mia, right? Because you've seen
Yeah.
the difference. So I'm still on my journey. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be 50 next year, and I guarantee you I will
Hey.
be in the best shape of my life when
Yeah.
I turn 50. I guarantee you that, right? And so it's also an aspect of not beating yourself up either, right? Because you got the whole vegan thing, and there's a whole community out there that'll tell you you're
Correct.
going to hell with gasoline draws on if you
Right.
eat meat.
Right. Right.
Right? But you have to know what's best for your body.
I want to talk about that because I went vegan and I was vegan for the time I was committed. Okay. I was like, I'm all in, whatever it takes. And then when I did the allergy test, because I noticed that I still, for me, wasn't feeling as well. And
Mhm.
then I learned like I'm allergic to kale, cashews, almonds, like everything vegan.
Oh my gosh.
So what I realized was, and see, a lot of people think that this is healthy food and I have to eat it, but how do you feel? Like you
Mhm.
don't have to eat it. And there are other ways to get the nutrients. There are other vegetables that you can still get the nutrients that that
Mhm.
one that is causing you disruption has. And so I was so like sad to give up kale, but when I did, I was like, oh, I don't feel digestively disrupted anymore. And
Mhm.
so what I learned was I had to not be vegan because I couldn't sustain it with the allergies that I had. So I
Mhm.
really, it was just minimal foods, especially the way they produce the vegan foods now.
Yeah.
A lot of the cashew milk, a lot of the almonds and things like that, it just doesn't work for my system. And so what I've leaned towards, and I think people just need to really get away from labels and just eat real food.
Right.
Read your labels. And if it is more than like 6 ingredients, if their ingredients are things you can't pronounce, you know it's made in the lab.
Mhm.
So, as much as you can, I spend a lot of time in the produce section and minimal time in the aisles. Like that's
Mhm.
just like how I live my life now. And I do weight training things like that. But what I tell people is just move. Like you said, go outside for a walk. And I've gotten to the point cuz many of us work at home now,
Mhm.
is where I will schedule it. I will schedule time to like pause, go out, get a walk. Just
Yes. Okay, I know we're going over, but let's talk about that for a moment because that's a
okay.
direct connection to career. And I do a whole webinar about this, right?
Okay.
We have to block ourselves off. So being in corporate, you tell me if this resonates with you. You'll like right now, let me see what time it is cuz okay, so I need to start in a few minutes, right? My day job. So you'll look at your schedule and somebody has scheduled you all day, back to back to back to back calls. And before you know it, you're sitting there and you've been sitting for 8 and 10 and 12 hours with no break. You haven't got up to eat, you haven't got up to drink, you haven't got up to use the bathroom, right? Nothing, right?
Right.
You have to take control of that. And so what I tell people is you got to schedule your breaks. You have to
Mhm.
schedule your lunch, go schedule your walk and
Yeah.
put on there not available. And when
Mhm.
someone tries to book you for a call, now keep in mind, I'm not saying, if the CEO
Right.
or somebody urgent or emergency, so you got to do things in moderation. But if someone comes to you and tries to overtake that time, not available is a full sentence, just like no is a full sentence. I'm not
Correct.
available at that time. And you don't have to say, oh, that's my walk. Oh, that's my
Mhm.
break. Because not everybody respects themselves the way that they need to, right?
That's right.
So just say you're not available and the world is not going to come to an end. Guess what? They're going to find another time. I've been doing it for years.
Same.
They will find
Same.
another time,
Yep.
and then that way you can be you and get up and go and walk. And guess what? It helps the company, by the way,
Yep.
because they need you healthy.
Yeah. And productive.
They
Like,
need exactly.
yes. Yes.
So,
I know
girl,
we're
we
out
can
of
go
time, but
on and
look,
on. Yeah, yeah, we
that resonates, girl. I told you we could really, really talk. But yes, that
can.
resonates with me. I do it all the time. Been doing it for years. I even
Yep.
schedule time in the morning where I know I'm most productive to do some of the hard things. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
like productivity and taking time and scheduling for yourself
Yep.
is it's really key.
Yep. So Mia, before we go, tell
Mhm.
folks how they can reach you, how they can find you on social media.
Okay, great. Yes, my Instagram is mbrinson10. So mbrinson10, and you'll find me on Instagram. That's the best place to find me. That's where I'm most active, and I'm also on Facebook, Mia Brinson.
Excellent. Mia, it's been a pleasure. We have got to do this again.
Definitely.
We got to do a series or something because we
Yes.
just everything, it's like our backgrounds are so familiar and they just intersect. And so there's so many women that will benefit from our experiences. So I just want to continue to
Mhm.
keep sharing them with our audience. So thank you so much for coming and being a guest on the Humbitious Woman podcast. I look forward to having you again.
Yes, I look forward to being here. Thank you so much again.
All right. See you soon.